At an end time dream, here it is. I was living in the frat house with a bunch of other people, and I remember having this ominous feeling throughout the dream. As I was changing my clothes, that's when it happened. There was a vision of me glancing out the window and saying, "Please don't let it be an eagle. Lord, please don't let it be an eagle with a crow." And sure enough, a large eagle landed on a picnic table having a black crow upon its back. I immediately began praying. As I walked out into the yard, there were other people in the yard playing ball. I started telling them that it was time, when the dream switched to me back in the house. Note, the house was all boarded up like what you'd see in a zombie movie. Everyone was now rushing around frantically trying to get ready. I was worried about my hair, it still being moist from the shower, and I had no idea where my bug out bag was or my machete. Suddenly, they came. It started with the one, a creature that looked like a man, only he was much larger than any man. I first noticed his eyes, yellow like egg yolks, peering at me and some of the other women as we were getting dressed. Yes, most of the windows were boarded up, but it was not a neatly done job, and the blinds were down but partially open. This creature was staring at us through a space in the wood and the blinds, his lust-ridden eyes going over the curvature of our bodies. He or it had mangled skin that was riddled with scars and cuts, its skin looking as if it were twisted on his body. A partially hungry smile pulled at the corner of his foamy mouth, jagged, uneven teeth that were thick like lion's teeth staring back at me. I remember gasping as I pointed, saying, "It's here, staring at us through the window." The rest of the women were thrown into an even bigger panic. This creature was built like a tank, standing no less than 7 feet. His labored breath was very audible, sounding like an enraged bull. Later, in the dream, it was revealed to me that this thing was called a juggernaut. While everyone was mustering to the getaway room, I was still messing with my hair and looking for my bug out bag and machete. I was also worried about not having enough clothes packed, especially for the winter. As I was running through the house, I happened along a box cutter. Swiping it up as I bolted toward the stairs, suddenly I heard glass and wood breaking behind me, but I was not going to stick around to find out what that was. Simultaneously, the vision panned out to the side of the house where a large truck, Ford F-150, silver in color, pulled up alongside the house. Another truck, red I believe, went after the juggernaut. Once the F1 was full, it drove off and another truck pulled up. Several women were already on the roof, tossing their bags into the truck bed first. Then they would jump and some men would catch them. Soon, it became prevalent that I was probably the only one still in the house, along with something else, or someone else. While spitting out a slew of curse words, I found myself in a small guest room. The partially opened window hadn't been fully secured. I tried pushing it up more, but it only went a quarter of the way. So thinking quickly, I made it look as if I had escaped through the window, despite the opening being so small. I then skirted underneath the bed, crawling into the black abyss, my box cutter at the ready. Panting faintly, I heard heavy footsteps reach the top of the stairs. They walked straight into the room I was in, stopping at the entrance. The creature began to sniff like a dog in search of its bone. Note, everyone's senses were enhanced. I could smell different kinds of metals and wood, as well as the juggernaut. But I guess after being cooped up in a small space for so long, with so many other people, it was difficult for me to decipher the different smells. The creature took one step into the room, still sniffing. Then it took another. I watched its large black shoes move closer into the room, going towards the window. Once it was there, I could only see its lower half, the bottom of the bed frame obstructing the rest of it. But I could tell the creature was standing in front of the window, sniffing the frame and the near vicinity. Then it tried pushing the window up. It didn't put a whole lot of effort into it, just enough to gather that the said window couldn't have been made to go any further without it getting damaged. The creature then padded toward the bed, the tips of its shoes just reaching underneath the bed, the creature still sniffing. I noticed that this being didn't breathe heavily like the juggernaut, and had it not been for its sniffing, I would have thought the creature was breathless. It turned, the backs of its shoes now facing me, shuffling toward the exit. I remember I had my hand over my mouth trying to muffle my breath as best I could. I think I did a good job of that. The dream panned out to the creature dressed in yellow and black, its back arched, thick, vaguely gloved fingers gripping the frame of the bed, head hitting the hardwood floor with a loud thud, the frame lifting in one fluid motion. And wouldn't you know it, turns out the being was none other than Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. His pale eyes, absent of retinas, scanned into the dark abyss. Now, it pains me to say what happened next because Scorpion is one of my favorite video game characters. I didn't even think, I just reacted, crawling as stealthily as I could from my corner. I was to the left, Scorpion was looking to the right. His head went from 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. My free hand suddenly grasped the back of his skull, my other hand brandishing the blade. I just started hacking into his neck. Now, Scorpion's skin was not like human skin. It was more on the lines of beef jerky. I had to constantly hack and stab into his flesh. All the while, Scorpion turned to look at me, one of his hands trying to capture my stabbing hand. The other was still trying to hold up the bed. I kept at it, blood spurting out onto my face and hands, blood pooling around Scorpion's head, nearing the rest of me. I didn't care, sinking the box cutter deep into his neck, working that blade through his hard tissue. Scorpion's soulless eyes met mine, his free hand abandoning my busy one. He began to reach for my face, gurgling as if to say something. Finally, with one last effort, he roared. Blood weeping from the fabric of his mask, spurting out onto my face. I could feel my chest saturated in his blood as I dragged the cutter through his vocal cords. The dream panned out again, and I could see his legs convulsing. Scorpion gurgled a few more times as I continued to jab him in the neck. His body finally going limp, the bed fell back to its natural state. I was crying by this point, possibly because I had never killed anything so closely resembling a human before. Shortly thereafter, I regained my composure. Grabbing onto Scorpion's chin, I used it for leverage as I crawled from underneath the bed. There was a deboning knife in the room, so I snatched that up. Now my whole body was saturated in Scorpion's blood, and my hair was a Mortal Kombat wreck. It didn't matter. I moved to the hallway, and that's when I spotted my bag, sitting next to the door of another room. Grabbing it up, I flung it over my shoulder when I heard more footsteps. I went back into the hallway, dipping around the corner as prudently as possible. I waited for the shadow of the next being near me. My hand came around the corner, hurling the blade at the figure. I heard it go, "Ah!" That's when I gasped. Standing in the hallway was a large African-American man with a knife now on his shoulder. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" I asked, mortified by what I had just done, however relieved that he was human. "I'm fine," the man replied. I apologized again, and the man said, "It's all right." He removed the blade, barely wincing, before handing it back to me. "We gotta go," he then said. I knew that, so we headed toward the exit. The dream panned to down the stairs where more people, all human, were gathering the last of the supplies. They too were saying, "Come on, let's go. We gotta go now." That's when the dream ended.
Choose your destiny. Flawless victory. Choose your destiny.